Hello and welcome back to the Integrative Therapist. This is a space where nervous system wisdom meets real life, the honest, evolving, sometimes uncomfortable parts. I am your host, Julie, a holistic therapist. This episode today is going to feel a little different. As moving forward, I will be starting to alternate our themed conversations with deeper, focus guided meditations and visualization practices. I'll be offering these mindful moments as a space to slow down, reflect, and integrate what we're exploring together. The intention is simple, not just to talk about growth and relationships, but to create a space where we can actually experience what we're learning, to pause, to integrate, and to soften. And it feels especially fitting here because the name The Integrative Therapist has always been very intentional for me. I truly believe and support in a holistic perspective and holistic healing, one that honors the integration of the mind, the body, and the spirit. Our themed episodes tend to engage the mind. They offer insight, reflection, language, and understanding. But these mindful moments, these are where we bring the body into the conversation, where we allow the nervous system, the breath, the felt sense of things to participate too. Not just thinking about change, but actually feeling it. Not just analyzing growth, but embodying it. So this is the first of many mindful moments I will be offering, a space to slow down and integrate together. I hope you enjoy it. Let me start by sharing a little story with you. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my closet. Not in a big life overhaul kind of way, just one of those quiet Sunday afternoons where you start pulling things off hangers and asking, do I still wear this? And I picked up this sweater I used to absolutely love. It fit me. It wasn't worn out. It still looked as fabulous as the day I purchased it. Nothing was technically wrong with it. But when I held it up, I felt this subtle resistance in my body. It just didn't feel like me anymore. And I remember thinking, how strange that something can still fit on the outside and maybe look good to others, but it just doesn't fit who I was on the inside anymore. And that moment stayed with me because sometimes growth feels like that. Nothing is broken, nothing is dramatic. You just quietly realize, I'm not who I was when this first made sense. And sometimes before we ask a relationship to adjust to that truth, we first have to acknowledge it within ourselves. And that's what today's practice is about. Choosing yourself in seasons of change. Not choosing yourself against someone else. Not choosing yourself in isolation. But choosing yourself with tenderness, with honesty, and with presence. In our last episode, we talked about the 7-year itch and how relationships don't necessarily fall apart, but often move through phases where connection asks for something more intentional. And underneath that conversation, there was a quieter theme, a theme of change, not just in the relationship, but within us. Because one of the most disorienting parts of long-term connection is not conflict, it's growth. It's realizing you are not the same person you were 5 years ago, or 2 years ago, or even last year. And sometimes before we ask the relationship to meet who we are now, we need to meet ourselves there first. We are now going to move into the meditation portion of the podcast. So please only continue if you are somewhere safe where you can close your eyes and or soften your gaze. Let's begin slowly, finding a comfortable position that feels right for you in this moment. I invite you to take a gentle inhalation through your nose and a long exhalation through your mouth. Again, inhalation through your nose, exhalation through your mouth. We are signaling safety here, not forcing calm, just inviting it. One last inhalation through your nose, and this time, try to make your exhalation a little longer. Now notice where your body is being supported in this moment. Perhaps it's a chair beneath you, the surface holding your back, or the ground beneath your feet. Just bring your awareness to your body being held. Let your weight drop and settle in here. Let's begin to scan through our entire body, bringing ourselves into this space, this moment, this present day. Start by noticing your forehead. Is it tensed? Is it smooth? We often carry the weight of expressions here. The weight of quiet effort, the effort to think ahead, to solve, to anticipate what might happen next, and to read between the lines. The forehead tightens when we are trying to figure everything out, when we are rehearsing conversations, when we are scanning for what could go wrong. See if you can soften this area just slightly, not forcing it flat, just easing the effort. Imagine warm water moving across your forehead, smoothing and releasing. You don't have to solve your life in this very moment. You don't have to predict the outcome. And you don't have to understand everything right now. Let your forehead rest from problem solving. Let your mind rest from strategizing. Next, moving our awareness to our eyes. Are they scanning, focused, tired? Sometimes the eyes carry the effort of watching for cues, watching for change, watching for reaction. Let this be a time for them to rest. Now bringing our awareness to our jaw. This is a place many of us hold tension. Notice if your teeth are touching, if your tongue is pressed to the roof of your mouth, if there's any subtle clenching that perhaps you were not aware of. The jaw often tightens when we are holding back what we really want to say, when we are trying to stay agreeable, or when we are bracing for impact. Taking an inhale in, and as you exhale, gently let your teeth part. Let your tongue rest in the bottom of your mouth. Let your jaw hang just slightly heavier. You don't have to hold everything together right now. You don't have to rehearse the conversation. You don't have to anticipate the outcome. Allow the muscles to soften ever so slightly. Taking another slow breath in. As you exhale, imagine the tension draining down through your neck, into your shoulders, and out through your arms and your fingertips. Bringing awareness now down to our throat area, the space at the front of your neck, the place where breath passes, where words form. Often when experiencing change, the throat tightens. Notice if there is any constriction, dryness, or perhaps a subtle lump, or even maybe a guarding sensation that you haven't yet named. The throat is also where unspoken things live, where truths we're not sure will be received, where needs rest that we've minimized, where questions sit that we've swallowed. Just notice. You don't have to say anything right now. You don't have to decide what's true or what's next. Simply bring breath to this area. Inhaling gently, imagining the breath moving into your throat. Exhaling slowly, letting a little space soften and open there. Sometimes the throat tightens when we are trying to keep the peace. Sometimes it tightens when we're afraid that speaking will change something. You don't have to perform here. You don't have to explain yourself. And you don't have to prepare for the perfect sentence. Just breathe and notice. What would it feel like for your voice to belong to you? Let that question sit gently in your throat. Now slowly starting to scan down your arms, from your shoulders, down through your upper arms, into your elbows and your forearms. Notice any weight, any tension, or any sensations that are rising. Are they subtly bracing, or perhaps holding something invisible? Maybe even carrying something that isn't entirely yours to carry. The arms often tighten when we feel responsible for keeping things steady, responsible for smoothing tension, and responsible for holding everything together. Sometimes we grip without realizing it. See if there's any tightening around control, around outcome, or around making sure things don't fall apart. Let your elbows soften. Let your forearms grow heavy. Bringing your awareness into your hands and your fingers. Noticing, are your fingers curled inward, pressing into your palms? What would it feel like to just set something down, even symbolically? As you don't have to carry every emotion, and you don't have to hold the entire relationship in your hands. Let your palms open gently. Let your hands rest. Allow them to receive instead of manage. An open palm is not surrender. It's receptivity. It's saying, I don't have to grip to stay steady. Perhaps noticing even the space between your fingers, or the warmth or coolness in your palms. Let your hands remember what it feels like to receive support, love, understanding. Take a slow breath here, and as you exhale, imagine any leftover gripping or tension melting out through your fingertips. Next, bringing awareness to the chest area. the space behind your sternum, the front of your heart. Noticing, is there openness? A sense of space? Or is there pressure, tightness, or even perhaps a quiet ache you've learned to live with? Sometimes the chest carries old conversations. Sometimes it carries words we never heard, or words we wish had been said differently. Just notice what is here. No story yet, just sensation. Even if it feels supportive for you, place one hand gently over your heart and let the warmth of your hand register. Tune in and feel your heartbeat beneath your palm. Steady, rhythmic, uncomplicated. It has been here through every version of you, through when you were young, through who you were when you first fell in love, through heartbreak, through joy, through uncertainty. It has not abandoned you, even when you've questioned yourself, even when relationships shifted. Your heart kept beating. Bring awareness to notice if there is any armor around it, any subtle guarding. The chest often tightens when we're protecting against disappointment or protecting against wanting too much. You don't have to force it open. Just see if you can soften it a little further. Allowing your breath to move into the palm of your hand. Inhaling, feeling expansion. Exhaling, letting something softly settle. You don't have to close your heart to stay safe, and you don't have to harden to stay strong. Let the heartbeat be a reminder to you that you are still here, still capable of love, and still capable of growth. Now bring your awareness down to the space surrounding your belly. And notice, does your belly feel guarded? Maybe tight? Or pulled inward? Or is it soft, relaxed, and still? Many of us unconsciously hold this area in, especially when we are trying to appear composed, and especially when we are unsure of something. The belly tightens when we are bracing for impact, when we don't feel certain, when we don't fully trust what we know. Just notice what is here for you, without judgment, without the need to fix. Gently invite the breath lower. Let it move down instead of up. Let your inhale expand and let your exhale soften outward. Just imagine the breath reaching the lower belly. This is the area that carries instinct and intuition. It carries the quiet signals that don't always make logical sense at first. The subtle yes, the subtle no, the feeling of something aligning or not. Notice if there is any tension around trusting your own knowing. Notice if there is any holding around wanting more or wanting something different. You don't have to act on anything here. You're just listening. Let the breath drop a little deeper. Let your belly remember it's allowed to expand. And you are allowed to take up space from the inside. Take one slow inhale and one long, steady exhale. Finally, beginning to move our awareness down to our legs, our thighs, our knees, our calves. Let your attention travel slowly, like a warm light moving downward. Notice the weight of your legs. Are they relaxed? Heavy? Are they bracing? The legs often hold the impulse to move, to leave, to chase, to step forward, even before you're ready. See if with your breath you can soften just a little more. Bringing your awareness into your ankles, your heels, and the soles of your feet. Gently noticing if you feel warmth, coolness, tingling, even heaviness or numbness. There is no right sensation, just information. The soles of your feet are where you meet the ground, where you make contact with reality, where you decide whether you're staying or going. Notice if your feet feel firmly planted or slightly lifted. Notice if there's restlessness there or steadiness. And if there is numbness, simply acknowledge it. Sometimes numbness is protection. If there's tension, imagine gravity gently drawing it downward. Let your feet feel the support beneath you. The ground is holding you. You are not suspended, you are supported. Let your toes soften. Let your heels grow heavy. And take one slow breath in, and on the exhale, imagine any leftover tension just draining down and leaving your body. Now that we've done a body scan meditation, we will move into a gentle reflection. Let's gently bring a question into our mind, not to solve, not to explain, just to feel. What part of me has been changing recently? And instead of answering immediately, notice what happens in your body when the question is asked. Does something in you tighten? Does something in you lean forward? Or perhaps an image or word comes to mind. Stay with the sensation first. The body often knows before the mind can articulate. Pause for a moment and breathe here. Maybe you're noticing a shift in values. Maybe you're less tolerant of something that used to feel fine for you. Perhaps you're craving more depth, more space, more movement, more honesty. Just notice what is emerging for you. Now ask gently, have I fully acknowledged and allowed this part of me to take up space? Feel what happens when you ask that question. Do you notice any sadness, relief, resistance, grief, or fear? Stay with the breath and let the body process. There is nothing to fix here. If something feels tender, let your hand rest there for a moment. Growth can feel like expansion, but it can also feel like loss. Loss of familiarity, loss of an old identity, loss of who you were in someone else's eyes. And if that is present for you, let it be honored in this space. You don't have to rush past it. Take in one more slow breath, and on the exhale, imagine giving this changing part of you just a little more room to breathe, a little more space to expand. Noticing what happens when you don't argue with your own evolution. Does something soften? Does something become steady? Because sometimes acknowledgement is the beginning of integration. And when you feel ready, we'll gently move into our space with a visualization practice. You can either pause here and come back to it, or if you have the capacity, you can stay with me for the visualization. Let's begin. I'd like to guide you into a visualization. Now imagine you are standing at the edge of a shoreline. Late afternoon light, the kind that softens everything it touches. The sky is warm, gold, melting gently into a pale blue. The water is calm, not flat, just silently steady. And you can notice small ripples moving in and out in a quiet rhythm. You are standing where the shoreline meets the sand. The ground beneath you is firm enough to hold you, but soft enough to feel. The shoreline represents a threshold, not an ending, as nothing has collapsed, not a beginning, as nothing is being forced, just a shifting. The kind that happens slowly, like the tide shifting while you weren't watching, like the seasons turning, and like the light changing. Take a breath here and feel the steadiness of the ground beneath your feet. Now imagine in the distance near the water's edge, you spot someone walking towards you. At first, it's just a shape, familiar, unhurried, but as they draw closer, you recognize them. It's you, not younger, not older, just slightly ahead of where you are now, and different. This is a version of you who has allowed the changes you're sensing to settle in. A version of you who no longer debates their own becoming. Notice how they move. Is their posture a little more relaxed? Is their breath deeper? Is there something steadier in their gaze? Let them walk towards you slowly. No rush. Feel what it's like to be met by a version of yourself who has already made peace with the shift. What do they want you to know? Listen without forcing. It might not come as a full sentence. It might not be a single word. Perhaps it's a quiet knowing, a sensation in your chest, a loosening somewhere you didn't realize was holding tension. Let it arrive the way it wants to arrive. Maybe they say to you, you don't have to shrink or stay where you are to belong and be accepted. You are allowed to want more. You can love someone and still choose yourself. Or maybe what comes is simpler, such as I'm here. I see you. Keep going. Let whatever arises arise. There is no right message in this moment. Let the silence be part of the practice. Notice how it feels to be met by yourself without pressure, without correction, without urgency, just pure recognition. Now imagine this future self stepping a little closer, close enough that you can feel their presence. Then they softly and gently place one hand on your heart and one hand on your back. Support for the front and support from the behind. You are now held in both directions, held by who you've been, held by who you are becoming. You are not alone in this growth. Let them say to you slowly, you are allowed to become more than who you've always been. Feel what happens in your body when you hear that. Does something soften? Does something tremble? Or does something quietly resist? All of it is welcome. Let those words move through you before you begin to analyze them. You are allowed to become more than who you've always been. Not because a past version of you was wrong, but because you are alive, and aliveness evolves. Stay here for a few breaths, letting the body experience what it feels like to not defend against growth. Now slowly, gently, let this future version of you step back, not disappearing, not fading away, just integrating, as if they dissolve into your chest, into your spine, into your breath. They live within you. They have always lived within you. You are not chasing them. You are unfolding into them. Feel your feet again. Feel the ground beneath you. You are already becoming them. Take a slow, steady breath in and a long, relaxing, grounding exhale out. That is the end of our visualization practice. Now that you've had a moment to let your body settle, and your mind picture a future version or a current version of you that's just wanting to move into the space. Now bring to mind your current relationship, not to evaluate or judge, just to hold gently into your field of awareness. Imagine your relationship as a shared space between two circles, you and the other person. Notice if your circle has been expanding lately. Have you been shrinking to maintain overlap? Or have you been stretching beyond yourself? Or have you been standing in your shape clearly? Without blame, just notice. And ask yourself gently, can I stay loyal to who I am becoming or who I long to be in your current relationship? And what would that look like, staying loyal to yourself? Would it be one small act, one boundary, one vulnerable sentence, one moment of rest, one pause before over-explaining, or one truth spoken gently? Let that small action take shape in your mind. Visualize yourself doing it. Feel your feet on the ground as you do. Feel your breath steady. This is how change becomes embodied in small, repeatable acts of self-respect. Because sometimes the deepest relationship repair begins internally, not by demanding answers or issuing ultimatums or by anxiously scanning for reassurance, but by quietly acknowledging that I am changing, you are changing. We are allowed to change. Life does not leave us untouched. Experience shapes us, loss shapes us, joy shapes us, disappointment shapes us, and growth shapes us. We're not meant to remain the exact same person that we were when we first met someone. And that will impact your relationship. Not because something is broken, but because something is coming alive. Long-term love isn't about freezing ourselves in the version that first connected. It's about relearning how to re-meet each other again and again. But that re-meeting begins here, with you, with your body, with honesty. If you don't allow your true self to surface, it doesn't disappear. It turns into tension, it turns into resentment, and it turns into distance that you can't quite name. Self-abandonment is rarely loud at first. It's often subtle. It's the pause before you speak, and it's a need that you minimize. And over time, that shrinking builds resistance in the body. So choosing yourself is not an act against love. It's an act that makes love sustainable. You can't update a relationship if you abandon yourself in the process. And you don't have to choose between growth and connection. You can practice both. You can stay loyal to yourself as you evolve, and you can remain open to re-meeting the person beside you. This is mature love. This is conscious intimacy. Thank you for slowing down with me. I'll see you in our next conversation.